During a study abroad semester in France, my host family took me to a midsummer masquerade ball, saying, "Tonight you're someone else." I laughed, until a mysterious man in a black mask pulled me onto the dance floor and whispered, "Let's make this night a secret worth keeping." The champagne, the music, the twinkling lights, it felt like a dream. Until the clock struck midnight, and a woman's voice cut through the magic. "He's not who you think he is. And you're about to find out why." During my study abroad semester in France, my host family invited me to a midsummer masquerade ball at a chateau in the countryside. They handed me a beautifully designed invitation and said, "Tonight you're someone else." I laughed. It sounded like a fun little fantasy, an excuse to play pretend for a night. I didn't think much of it at the time. The ball was exactly what you'd imagine: ornate chandeliers, flowing champagne, and the kind of elegance you only see in period dramas. Women in stunning gowns, men in crisp suits, everyone hidden behind intricate masks. It felt like I had stepped into another world. I was sipping on my second glass of champagne when a man in a black mask and an expensive suit approached me. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and had an air of confidence that immediately set him apart. His voice was low, smooth, the kind that makes you lean in without realizing it. "You shouldn't be drinking alone," he said. I laughed. "I'm not alone. I have champagne." He smiled. "Then let me be better company." I should have been more careful. But I was 20, studying abroad, caught up in the magic of the night. And he was charming. So we talked. Then we danced. And then he pulled me onto the balcony, away from the crowd. "Let's make this night a secret worth keeping," he murmured. That should have been a red flag. But I didn't question it. The night blurred. The music, the laughter, the warmth of his hand on my back. At some point he kissed me. Slow. Deep. Like he had all the time in the world. I let him. It felt exciting. A one-night fairy tale, a fleeting romance I could tell stories about later. No expectations, no consequences. Just a moment. And then, at midnight, a woman's voice shattered the illusion. "He's not who you think he is." Everything stopped. The music. The laughter. The conversation around us. I turned. A woman stood near the edge of the dance floor, staring straight at me. She was beautiful, older than me by at least 10 years, and radiating pure rage. I felt a pit in my stomach before she even said the next words. "And you're about to find out why." The air in the ballroom changed. People were staring. The woman stepped closer, her heels clicking against the marble floor. The man in the black mask, the man who had just kissed me, went rigid. I felt his fingers twitch against my waist before he pulled away completely. "Amélie," he said, his voice measured. The name meant nothing to me. But she wasn't looking at him. She was looking at me. "Did he tell you his name?" she asked. My mouth went dry. I hadn't asked? He had been a mystery, and I had let him stay that way. I had played along. The masked ball, the fantasy, the excitement of it all, it had never crossed my mind to ask for a name. He exhaled sharply. "This isn't necessary." "No?" Amélie laughed, but there was nothing warm about it. "You must think I'm an idiot." I opened my mouth to speak, to ask what the hell was going on, but she didn't give me the chance. She reached up, grabbed the edge of his mask, and ripped it off. Gasps rippled through the ballroom. And I felt like the floor had been ripped out from under me. Because I knew his face. I had seen it on the mantelpiece at my host family's house. In framed photos. This was Francois. My host uncle. I staggered back like I had been burned. My stomach twisted so violently I thought I might throw up. Francois was married. My host's mom had mentioned it in passing, like it was barely worth noting. He lives in Paris. Has a beautiful wife. Amélie. I had kissed my host uncle in front of his wife. "She didn't know," Francois said quickly, his voice tight. "This isn't her fault." "Of course she didn't know," Amélie shot back. "She's young. You like them young, don't you?" Whispers spread through the room like wildfire. I could barely hear them over the roaring in my ears. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to wake up in my tiny host family bedroom and realize this had all been a bad dream. "How long?" Amélie demanded. "How long were you planning to lie?" Francois said nothing. Which meant this wasn't the first time. "Typical," Amélie muttered. She turned back to me, her gaze sharp. "Do yourself a favor and walk away. Because this man? He collects girls like souvenirs. And trust me, you are not special." I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. And then, before I could think, she threw her champagne at him. It hit his chest, soaking his expensive suit, and the entire room erupted. Gasps. Laughter. Some people pretended not to watch, but they were all listening. The string quartet in the corner abruptly stopped playing. Francois's jaw clenched. I saw his hands curl into fists at his sides. I didn't wait for whatever happened next. I turned. And I ran. Through the gardens, past the glowing lanterns, ripping my mask off as I went. My host's parents found me seconds later, my host's dad's face like thunder. "Get in the car," he said. I didn't argue. But as we drove away, my hands still shaking, I realized something. This wasn't over. Because Francois? He wasn't the kind of man who let things go. The silence in the car was suffocating. My host's parents didn't speak, didn't look at me. My host's mom kept clenching and unclenching her fists in her lap, her jaw tight. My host's dad gripped the wheel so hard his knuckles turned white. I wanted to explain, to tell them I hadn't known. But I was too afraid to open my mouth. When we got home, my host's mom finally spoke. "Go to bed," she said, her voice strained. "We'll talk in the morning." I nodded and rushed upstairs, slamming my bedroom door behind me. And then, my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. "Unknown, are you okay?" I stared at it. Then another message. "Unknown, please don't hate me." My stomach twisted. It was Francois. I turned off my phone and threw it across the bed. But the moment I closed my eyes, I could still feel his lips on mine. The next morning, my host's mom sat me down at the kitchen table. "We believe you," she said. "We know you didn't know. But this is bad." I swallowed. "What's going to happen?" She looked at her husband, who let out a slow, controlled breath before speaking. "Amelie is filing for divorce." I blinked. "That fast? This isn't the first time." My host's mom's voice was clipped. "She's been waiting for a reason to leave him. And now? She has one." I expected to feel relief. I didn't. Because this wasn't just some random cheating scandal. This was a divorce that I had just been made the face of. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "It's not your fault," my host's mom said. But then she hesitated. "Still, it might be best if you keep your distance. From him. From all of this." I nodded. "I don't want anything to do with him." And for a while, that was true. Until I realized someone had been following me. It started as little things. A black car parked across from my school. A man in sunglasses sitting outside a cafe, not drinking anything, just watching. At first, I thought I was imagining it. Until I saw Francois standing across the street, watching me. I froze. He didn't wave. He didn't smile. He just stood there. And then, he walked away. That night, my phone buzzed again. "Unknown, please talk to me." I blocked the number. But the next day, a letter appeared in my mailbox. There was no return address. Just my name, written in perfect script. Inside was a single line. "I don't regret meeting you." I nearly dropped it. I ran inside, shaking, and showed it to my host's mom. She went pale. "This isn't good," she said. "What do I do?" I whispered. She took the letter and ripped it up. "You ignore him. You don't respond. You don't go anywhere alone." I nodded, heart pounding. But that night, I woke up to a noise outside my window. I pulled back the curtain, and saw a figure standing in the shadows. Watching me. I barely breathed as I stared out the window. A shadowed figure stood near the edge of the garden, just beyond the glow of the street lamp. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. I didn't move. Maybe if I stayed still, they'd leave. But then, they did move. A step closer. Another. The light caught just enough of his face. Francois. I stumbled back from the window, heart racing. My hands were shaking as I fumbled for my phone. My host's dad answered on the first ring. "What's wrong?" His voice was groggy but immediately alert. "He's here," I whispered. A pause. Then, a door slamming open downstairs. I could hear my host's dad rushing out of the house, his footsteps heavy against the stone path. I stayed frozen in my room. Seconds passed. Then minutes. Then yelling. I crept back to the window. My host's dad was face to face with Francois, his body tense, his hands curled into fists. I couldn't hear everything, but the words I caught made my stomach drop. "You are sick, Francois. She is a child compared to you. I didn't touch her," Francois snapped. "Liar," my host's dad spat. "You always lie." Francois took a step forward, but my host's dad didn't back down. "She was different," Francois said. His voice was low, almost pleading. "She wasn't like the others." My stomach turned. Like the others. I wasn't the first. I was just another young, naive girl he had decided to play with. Tears burned my eyes. How could I have been so stupid? Francois turned his head slightly, looking up toward my window. And even though the shadows hid most of his face, I knew exactly what he was thinking. I wasn't different to him. I was just next. If you ever come back here, my host's dad growled, I will make sure you regret it. Francois didn't argue. He just took one last look at the house, at me, before stepping back into the darkness. Gone. I sank to the floor, hands gripping my knees, finally letting myself cry. The fallout was immediate. My host's mom was livid. We should have never invited you to that ball. I felt guilty. Even though I hadn't known, even though I had done nothing wrong, I still felt dirty. I had kissed a married man. I had become part of someone's divorce. And now, I was a target of a man who didn't take rejection well. I spent the next few weeks avoiding everything. I stopped going to cafes. I stopped walking to class alone. My host's dad started driving me to school. And for a while, I thought it was over. Until Amelie showed up. She was waiting outside my university, leaning against a silver car, sunglasses hiding her eyes. I hesitated before walking over. You should get in, she said. I almost didn't. But then I did. She didn't speak right away. She just studied me. You look tired, she finally said. I laughed dryly. Haven't been sleeping much. She nodded like she understood. Then she pulled out her phone and handed it to me. Read this. It was a string of messages. From Francois. Messages that made my blood run cold. She doesn't understand me like you do. I never wanted to hurt you. You don't have to leave me, Amelie. We can fix this. I miss you. I miss us. I still love you. And then, but if you won't have me, maybe she will. I nearly dropped the phone. Amelie didn't say anything. She just let me sit with the weight of that last message. You see now? She said quietly. I nodded, throat tight. He doesn't love anyone but himself. She continued. And when he doesn't get what he wants, he makes sure no one else does either. I swallowed. What do I do? You leave. My breath hitched. He will not stop, she said. He never does. He will follow you, whisper things that sound like love but are really just control. You have to go before he makes you doubt yourself. I shook my head. I can't just. Yes, you can. She looked at me then, really looked at me. You don't want to be me, do you? I thought about it. About the years of lies she must have endured. About the humiliation of discovering the man you loved was never really yours. No. I didn't want that. I didn't want to become another name on his list of broken people. I told my host's parents that night. I need to go home. My host's mom exhaled sharply, but she nodded. My host's dad pulled me into a hug and whispered, I'm sorry it ended like this. I left France a week later. And as the plane took off, I felt a strange sense of relief. I had let myself get caught in a fantasy. But that's all it had ever been, a lie wrapped in champagne and moonlight. And I was finally waking up. Years later, I still think about that night at the Masquerade. About the way I had let myself believe in something that was never real. And about how easily people like Francois slip into your life, charming, persuasive, dangerous. But now I know better. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: never trust a masked man at a ball. Because behind the mask, there's always a monster.